गाड़ी दूंगी निपट नारी डगर चलता छेरे श्याम सखी पानिया भरा ना मोरे गागर मोरे पानिया भरा ना मोरे गागर मोरे नाहक बधिया मरोड़ी झकझोरी डगर चलता छेरे श्याम सखी निसा गामा पामा गरे सा निसा सा डगर चलता छेरे श्याम सखी गाड़ी दूंगी निपट नारी डगर चलता छेरे डगर चलता छेरे डगर चलता छेरे श्याम सखी बुढ़ी सुधरा माঝে শান্তির বাড়ি বুড়ি সুধরা মাঝে শান্তির বাড়ি শুষ্ক হৃদয় আছে দাঁড়ায় শুষ্ক হৃদয় আছে দাঁড়ায় ঊর্ধ্ব মুখে নরনারী বুড়ি সুধরা মাঝে শান্তির বাড়ি বুড়ি সুধরা মাঝে শান্তির বাড়ি না থাকে অন্ধকার না থাকে মোহপাপ না থাকে শোক পরিতাপ না থাকে অন্ধকার না থাকে মোহপাপ না থাকে শোক পরিতাপ হৃদয় বিমল হোক প্রাণ সবল হোক বিঘ্ন অপসারে বুড়ি সুধরা মাঝে শান্তির বাড়ি বুড়ি সুধরা মাঝে শান্তির বাড়ি কেন এ হিংসা দেশ কেন এ ছদ্মবেশ কেন এ মানবিমান কেন এ হিংসা দেশ কেন এ ছদ্মবেশ কেন এ মানবিমান বিতর বেতার প্রেম পাষাণ হৃদয়ে জয় জয় হোক তোমারে বুড়ি সুধরা মাঝে শান্তির বাড়ি বুড়ি সুধরা মাঝে শান্তির বাড়ি বুড়ি সুধরা মাঝে শান্তির বাড়ি
Thank you so much, Shohini. I just hope all of you could hear at least the music.
Thank you. Very extremely sorry, and there is some technical error is going on in my website also. Thank you.
Anyway, thank you once again, Shumona and Shohini. This mellifluous note of hope and peace has been presented to us by the two vocalists, Srimati Upakatha De and Srimati Shohini Ghosh, both Faculty of English, and paintings by Abamoni Shaha and Shohini Ghosh, Abamoni from the Department of Sociology. I thank all of them. I shall now request Upakatha to conduct the rest of the program. Over to you.
Thank you. I hope I'm audible. You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Remembering the visionary poet William Blake, I would like to start the evening by saying, knowledge is life with wings. Good evening to all of you on the other side of the screen. It gives me immense pleasure, rather it gives us immense pleasure to have you all as an integral part of the inaugural session to our add-on and value-added courses 2021-22. As the name itself suggests, we hope that we would be able to add some value to our everyday curriculum. I would kindly request to mute your microphone, please. At the very onset...
Arindamda, could you kindly mute yourself? Arindamda? Thank you.
Thank you, Arindamda. At the very onset, I would like to request Dr. Apurva Bandyopadhyay, Principal Sir, Mrinalini Datta Mahavidyapith, to deliver his welcome address. Sir has been the fulcrum to all our endeavors, words of encouragement, words of appreciation, from which he has never deterred, has always helped us take a stride forward. Thank you, sir, for everything you keep on doing for us. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Upakatha. Good evening, everyone, and most welcome to this online inauguration program for introducing add-on courses in our college from event semester 2021. Today, we feel delighted for being able to extend our family of teachers and taught even beyond the periphery of our own institution. In this program, we have with us Srimati Chandrima Bhattacharya, renowned minister in the departments of Urban Development and Municipal Affairs, Health and Family Welfare, Land and Land Reforms, and Department of Refugee and Rehabilitation, Government of West Bengal. It is, however, more important to us that Chandrimadi is the Honorable President of our governing body, and with her plethora of contributions, she has now been the idol of this modest seat of learning. To mention a few, Madam has arranged for the college a significant financial support of rupees 18 lakh and government land of 112 quotas for developing second campus of this institution. On behalf of each participant of Mrinalini Datta Mahavidyapith, I welcome our gracious Madam once again in her own institute. It is now a pleasant privilege for me to welcome in our college for the first time Professor Mohua Das, Honorable Vice Chancellor, West Bengal State University. To be more accurate, Professor Das also adorns the chair of the President, West Bengal Council of Higher Secondary Education, and shares the responsibility of the principal in Women's College, Bagbazar. Madam, with your innovative advices and versatile guidance, we would like to turn this Mahavidyapith to a premier college in near future. At this opportunity, we feel honored to welcome today's keynote speaker, Professor Ramanuj Ganguly, Professor and Head Department of Sociology and former Registrar, West Bengal State University. It is also our pleasure to welcome Professor Chandrabha Chakraborty, Professor and Head Department of English and Director, Center for Studies in Gender, Culture and Media, West Bengal State University. We remain grateful to Professor Ganguly and Professor Chakraborty for extending their cordial support in collaborating our add-on course on human rights and gender studies. I feel truly fortunate to welcome in this platform our esteemed resource persons and nearly 220 students from no less than 50 institutes, without whose support our initiative to introduce the add-on courses would not be a reality. As we wait for the inspiring speech by our dignitaries, I would like to share with the participants certain points that are relevant to this program. We know that choice-based credit system of learning is learner-centric, where the students are offered flexibility for subject combination and mobility for place of learning. Even though these attributes of CBCS are yet to be achieved properly, we cannot ignore our professional commitment over this emerging trend of teaching learning process throughout the globe. To make the higher education system in our institution more relevant, our passionate teachers have come forward to introduce certain skill-oriented and interdisciplinary add-on courses that have utility for jobs, self-employment, and holistic empowerment of the students who would participate in this course from different academic disciplines. Right now, we have planned to launch 3 add-on courses. Other than the course on human rights and gender studies that is to be conducted by the departments of English, Political Science, and Sociology, the Department of Botany is introducing a course on mushroom cultivation and its scope, while the course on advanced technique in biology will be run by our youngest department of microbiology for studying emerging aspects of molecular biology, immunology, and tissue culture of animals and plants. Other departments like journalism and mass communication, zoology, mathematics, geography, and anthropology are also planning to introduce such value-added courses that include job-oriented project works. I would also like to mention here that in tune with the philanthropic spirit of our Honorable President Madam, we have slashed down the course fees during the prevailing period of COVID-19 pandemic so that the students can now engage themselves in career advancement without involving any financial strain. To cope with the pandemic hindrances, our resource person will also adopt certain student-friendly measures in course of materializing the learning outcomes. As we know, innovation is like oxygen to true educators and mentors. And we are confident in this regard to witness a valuable contribution from our brilliant team of educators. At the end, I remain immensely thankful to my dedicated colleagues and to the learned faculty members of these add-on courses for their cooperation to promote the concept of cluster of institutions that can build up an attractive blend in academic and professional expertise. Finally, I welcome you all once again and seek your wholehearted support towards this ambitious initiative of our humble institution. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for that enriching welcome address. And also thank you for voicing the vision behind the course. Thank you, sir. I would like to share with all of you that the seed of the entire course of this add-on course got germinated in one of our internal quality assurance cell meetings. And the coordinator of the IQAC, Mrinalini Datta Mahavidyapith, Dr. Mitali Gangobadhyay, has successfully steered us all to this evening. I would now ask Mitali, which is a pleasure to all of us, to introduce someone who actually needs no introduction. Beyond many other things, she is the Honorable GB President of our college and our very own Didi, Srimati Chandrima Bhattacharya ma'am. Over to you, Mitali.
Thank you so much, Upakatha. It is a matter of great privilege to introduce Srimati Chandrima Bhattacharya, who is the Honorable President of our governing body. Srimati Bhattacharya is at present the Minister of State for Urban Development and Municipal Affairs, Independent Charge, Health and Family Welfare, Land and Land Reforms, Refugee and Rehabilitation of the Government of West Bengal. In 2012, she was independently in charge of Law and Judicial Department. She was eminently a practicing advocate in the Calcutta High Court till 2011. She is also the president of Trinamool Mahila Congress. Under Madam's leadership, as Sir was already saying, our college, Mrinalini Datta Mahavidyapith, has achieved significant milestones, from acquiring 1.87 acres of land at Fatallapur for our second campus, to giving us an opportunity to serve the society in this turbulence of the pandemic by turning our college to Kobiguru Safe Home. Srimati Bhattacharya has initiated many such steps to help our college stand out in 24 Parganas North. On this digital platform today, we have no candles to lit the lamp, something that we have been traditionally doing for years in the auditorium of our college, something which is very close to our heart. However, we have here Srimati Chandrima Bhattacharya, who we all sincerely believe is the luminary herself, who can illuminate this entire platform. May I therefore request our very dear, our respected Chandrimadi to kindly inaugurate the add-on course and deliver the inaugural address. Over to you, Chandrimadi. Didi, you have to unmute yourself, please. Didi, you are not audible. Yes, Didi.
You can now hear me.
Yes, Didi. Thank you so much.
So a very good evening to all of you who are present here. Our principal, Apurva Bandyopadhyay, is here, and I find all educationists, I must say, who have been actually playing a very, very important role in actually bringing up this institution, Mrinalini Datta Mahavidyapith. I also thank Mrs. Mohua Das, who has today joined, and it's a pleasure to take part in a meeting where you all are here. Many have said much about me, but I know what is my actual, what should I say, what I evaluate myself to be. First of all, let me make it clear, I am not the president of governing body now, because I had resigned when I took part in the election. I have not been again given a reappointment in that post, but yet I have joined this meeting today as a MLA of this constituency, and I have always associated myself with this college, this esteemed institution, and I know whether I be a president or I do not be a president, I'm always a part of this institution. Now, whatever I could do when I was a MLA in the year 2011, when I first was elected as a MLA from 110 Damdam Uttor, and I found that there are many colleges within my assembly constituency, and one of them is Mrinalini Datta Mahavidyapit. You are also aware of Prafulla Chandra College in New Barakpur and APC College also in New Barakpur. Now, Mrinalini Datta Mahavidyapit is an institution where I found when I went, there are many students who are really, we can say they are the future and future of our country, and they will be in such a position that we will be enlightened by their contributions in the future. So when I met them, I was surprised that this is the standard of students who are taking part in the educational system of this institution. So I thought that I must have to do something. And the first thing I thought was that I can try to have a second campus of this college. So I approached the government, and I'm very grateful to our Honorable Chief Minister, who has always encouraged such approaches from various ends when made to her, that we got 112 kathas of land for the second campus. Now we were proceeding, but as ill luck could have it, I lost the elections in 2016. Now from 2016 to 2020 later part, I was not the president of the governing body, and I was actually elected in a by-election from a different constituency. Now, there was a gap in, again, doing something with regard to that second campus. Then in the later part of 2020, I was again appointed as the governing body president of this college, and immediately I took up the issue, and I contacted the department, and the then minister in charge, Mr. Partha Chatterjee, our revered minister. Now, he had also instructed the department to do the needful. Then the elections again was in the way, and we had to stop doing things. Now, after that, now that we are free to approach, yesterday I told Mr. Apurva Bandyopadhyay, Honorable Principal, to give me the details, and since today this is a VC we are having, I'm glad to say that today itself I have drafted the letter, and I have talked to the minister in charge of Education Department, and tomorrow my letter will go to him. I have already talked, because the administrative approval and some money is needed. Some financial grant is also needed, although we have already had a grant of 1 crore, but another 1.5 crore is needed, as the PWD department has given us a notice to that effect. So I have already drafted the letter, and I'll place it before the Honorable Minister tomorrow. I had a talk with him. So let us see what happens in future. Now that you are today inaugurating 3 certificate courses, this is very, I might say that an important thing which you are now doing. You know, these are the courses which will help our students to get employment, some skill development and employment in future.
Yes, some technical difficulties from.
I think there are
Yes.
some technical problems.
Anyway, madam is there. Okay,
But,
please.
yes,
proceed.
yes. So today, as we know that our employment, this is from unemployment has increased from 8% to 14%. So it is for us to think how we can make our students, and we can uplift them so that they can have their they can search for employments, they can build up their skills, and they can do the needful in future. So this is the juncture where you all have taken an important role, and these three certificate courses are being inaugurated today. One is Human Rights and Gender Studies, which is being done by the Departments of English, Political Science, Sociology, in collaboration with the Center for Studies in Gender, Culture and Media. Then another is Mushroom Cultivation and its Scope. This is by the Department of Botany. And the Advanced Techniques in Biology, this is by the Department of Microbiology. So it's very, very, I must say, encouraging that you have thought of these things and you are trying to build up the careers of the students. So this is where we all have to focus, so that in near future we can have a society where people will not be hankering for employment. And this is where we all need to join our hands together. Now, I must say that our college is doing good. Our college will be doing better, and we will be the best of the colleges. And in North 24, not in North 24 Parganas alone, I will see that it comes up to such a standard that in the whole of West Bengal we can say that there is a college, Mrinalini Datta Mahavidyapith, which is really an esteemed institution in the whole of Bengal. So we are waiting for those days, and I'm sure we will see those days. They are not far off. So you all have come today. I have to take leave from you because I'll be attending another meeting. So whatever is necessary from my end, don't take me to be a president alone. It's my duty to do, because I am a people's representative from that area also. So people, their demands also have to meet. And first demand is of education. Unless we educate our children, how can we pave a path for them to have a better future? So all of us, if we join hands together, we will surely be reaching to the last level and reaching our goal, actually. So thank you all for giving me this opportunity to meet you this evening. And because I have another meeting, I have to leave. But yet I know it will be a very, this rich deliberation, and this will enrich everyone. And the prayer which you made, the songs which were sung, really I should say that this is what is needed in the present hour. We have to remember this is a situation which has actually, I do not know how I should express, because so many people, they are in such a sorrowful state that it is for us to pray. And Sangeet is the main connecting prayer which reaches to the, I must say, to the Lord. So Sangeet is the best prayer that you have chosen. I thank you all, and those who have sung, it was exceptionally well. All my best wishes to you. Please carry on. I am there with you, beside you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Didi. Your luminous presence is just a privilege in itself. You have always been the pole star to guide us through all the crests and troughs of life. কিন্তু আপনার কথা শুনে আমার আজকে একটা জিনিসই বলতে ইচ্ছে করলো, যে আমাদের প্রতিষ্ঠানের সাথে আপনার যে আত্মীকরণ, যাই হোক, যে পজিশনেই হোক, that is something which we are going to cherish, enrich, be proud of, and be grateful to you forever. Thank you Didi for your presence.
আমাদের প্রেসিডেন্টও আছেন ম্যাডাম, আমি সেই খবরটুকুনি নেওয়ার চেষ্টা করেছি। কোনো অসুবিধা হবে না, যখন দরকার আমরা কথা বলবো। আপনি হ্যাঁ ঠিক।
Mitali, I carry on?
Yes, kindly.
Okay.
Please do.
Okay. I think we are all moved a bit emotionally. Anyhow, coming back to business, as we can say, Now I would take the privilege of calling center stage someone who has graced the occasion, who has come to our college, though virtually, ma'am, for the first time. I would request Anuja Gupta, Sociology, Department of Sociology. She's the head of the Department of Sociology, to introduce to us our very own Vice Chancellor, Madam, West Bengal State University, esteemed Professor Mohua Dash, for her speech, for her special address. Over to you, Anuja, and a hearty welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Upakathadi. A very warm welcome to you, Mohua ma'am, and Professor Mohua ma'am. She's the Vice Chancellor of West Bengal State University, and she is also a member of the West Bengal Council of Higher Secondary Education. So we can just imagine the load of work that she has been going through, and even in between her tedious time schedule, she has taken out a few moments for us, and she's been here, she's attending a program. It's indeed a blessing for us. And even though we are meeting you virtually, we hope that in future we'll meet you in person. And as a member, as a young member of the college, and I can just from my few years of experience in this college, I can say that our principal and all our senior teachers are extremely enthusiastic, even our IQSC coordinator. And we do keep organizing presentations, seminars, and all such, and we would really want to go into a deep academic collaboration. If we have your support and our blessings, I'm sure we can go ahead in all our academic endeavors. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being present in our small interview on this add-on course, and we would like you to share a few words with us. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. First of all, my heart full of gratitude to Chandrima ma'am, for being present here, though for a very short while for her busy schedule. But she was just excellent in her speech. And being a principal of college, I was a little envious about Apurvo Babu, that he got such a patron for his college to develop to this extent. So, the Honorable MIC, Chandrima ma'am, her gracious presence was there. Then Apurva Babu, he came to my university, and he was in a group, and he met me with all his very prospective words for the development of the academic programs in collaboration with the university and the college. And that was really interesting when I just took the chair of the Vice Chancellor in the university, and I got such luminaries around me to give me all inspiration to go ahead. And also two of my very eminent professors, as I can see, Ramanuj Ganguly from Sociology Department and Chandrabha from English Department, they're also present. I must also appreciate Mitali for her excellent anchoring, Upakatha and Anuja. Anuja, being a student, is just marvelous. She spoke volumes about the teachers and the overall environment of the college, the promising uplift of the college, which was really exciting to hear, because today the respect of the students, the respect of the teachers by the students is really something which we look forward to, but which is very rare in some of the situations. But this college is grooming the students in such a way that it really oozes out of your face. It brightens and lit up the entire atmosphere when I just heard that you are all in praise for your teachers, your principal, and the overall atmosphere of the college for whatever academic progress is going on, and the discipline factor, of course. And you've got a lush campus also being sponsored by the Honorable MIC for the second campus. So I will expect the college to grow very fast with the second campus, with a lot of subjects being open, and the university is always there for the students and the teachers to affiliate more and more subjects. Gender study and human rights is catching the main attention of the particular time we are going through, because this it's a human rights, it speaks about our existence. Without the right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, all these rights are very much constitutional basic rights, following which we can only survive. They are very pertinent for human existence. And it's very human that the students should be learned with this rights, the pros and cons, what are the rights written in the constitution, their political implications, their social message. And especially in this pandemic time, we are very much expecting that the students will come forward with all their services, their broad-mindedness, their liberal attitudes to help the humankind and offer their services to the human beings because they are young and the old age people are suffering. The pandemic is very severe to some lot of people. So you have seen a lot of students, young students, they are donating bloods, they're collecting oxygen cylinders for them, and they're also collecting the medicines for the sufferers. And this is the time to prove your youthful, energetic services to the society and the community. And the college is exactly being the guardian on your, the college is giving you the right kind of leadership so that the students can they devote themselves to this kind of human services. So gender and gender disparity and the human question of human rights, these are included in the United Nations, declaration in 1948 General Assembly. And since then, it is being pursued throughout the world in all the academic it is a part of the academic disciplines, especially in the arts subjects, arts faculties. I will like to ensure that the university is always there to give all kinds of encouragement and impetus to the college to grow in a proper way in these kind of subjects. There are 2 more add-on subjects, and the fees have been reduced by the grace of the Honorable MIC, and the students are coming. They're trying to take part in this kind of courses, and this will, of course, be very much beneficial for the college and for the society. The university is trying to extend all kind of assistance in terms of collaboration, in terms of if in future the principal would like to open a PG course even for these subjects, and with perfect kind of faculty and perfect kind of infrastructure, which I think the college will easily acquire, the university will always come forward to help them out in this endeavor. So I hope the students will be doing very good, and that the courses are just absolutely perfect for the time. And I wish you all very, very much success for the completion of the course and for the implementation of the message in the society. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that enriching speech. There is only one word which I could say kept on reverberating in my mind when after I heard you. That was guardianship. So we will look forward to your guardianship with a person like you on spearheading everything. I think we will be able to attain success. Thank you, ma'am. I next humbly request Dr. Reena Bose Mitro, Head of the Department, Political Science, and also the member of our Internal Quality Assurance Cell, to introduce Professor Chandrabha Chakraborty, Director, Center for Studies in Gender, Culture and Media, the center which is collaborating with us in the course. Now, I'm also truly happy that we have amidst us here the Deputy Director of the center, Dr. Sneha Kaur Choudhury, along with esteemed faculties of the Department of English, WebCU. Now, Chandrabhati is also the departmental head of English, West Bengal State University. She is the rudder to our wandering bark. I, being a teacher of English, we keep on going back to her, and she always welcomes us with an open arm. It's very hearty, very warm, and has been always a very warm experience to be with her. Thank you, Chandrabhati, for coming. I hand over the center stage to Rinadi to introduce her. Over to you, Rinadi.
Thank you, Upakatha. Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all again in this digital platform for an inauguration of our online add-on certificate course. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Professor Chandrabha Chakraborty. We know she's very well-known personality of West Bengal State University for her diverse work. Chandrabha Chakraborty is Professor, Head of the Department of English at West Bengal State University. She is currently the Director of the Center for Studies in Gender, Culture and Media of West Bengal State University. She is highly qualified in her field. She was awarded doctoral degree on the study of gender culture interface in 18th century British literature from Calcutta University. She was obtained the Charles Wallace India Trust Scholarship from UK, United Kingdom. Her research interests include literature of the long 18th century, colonial Bengal, gender and cultural studies. A few of her notable publications are monograph Gendering the Nation, Identity Politics, and the English Stage of the Long 18th Century, The New Woman in Tagore, The Making and Unmaking of Female Subjectivity, The King in Rabindranath Tagore's drama, Political Power Reinscribed in Raja, Babu Culture, The Garden and Garden House in Colonial Bengal, Connecting Hemispheres, Playing with Distance, Ram Mohan Roy, and Indian transnationalists, Hemispheres and Stratospheres, The Idea and Experience of Distance in the long 18th century. So, without further delay, now I request to Professor Chandrabha Madam to take this platform to enlighten us with her words. Yes, Madam, over to you.
Thank you very much for this generous introduction. The Honorable Minister of the State, Dr. Chandra Bhattacharya, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of West Bengal State University, Dr. Mohua Dash, the Principal of Mrinalini Dr. Mohavidyapith, Dr. Apurva Banerjee, my dear colleagues, students and others. It gives me great pleasure to be a part of today's event in my capacity as the Director of the Center for Studies in Gender, Culture and Media, abbreviated as CSGCM, under West Bengal State University. Offering a course on human rights and gender studies is surely the need of the times through which we are passing, not just in India, but in other parts of the world as well. If the post-globalization era is torn apart by ethnic conflicts, socioeconomic inequalities, gender violence, and the complex intersections of race, class, caste, creed, and nationality, all complicating the issue of individual identity and rights. In the very recent times, a pandemic has also played havoc with human lives around the globe, leading to rampant violation of the basic rights and privileges of an individual. Human rights are fundamental rights and freedoms to which all humans are entitled. They represent protection of our basic needs as well as the conditions we need to flourish as human beings. These rights have corresponding responsibilities from the side of the governments to the citizens and also of individuals to each other and to their wider communities. It is important that young people understand these rights and responsibilities, which will help them not only to protect themselves, empower themselves, but also to enable them to become responsible and active citizens. In the course that is being offered, gender studies is an essential component because the existence of gendered structures in society and culture is the reason behind various discriminatory practices and institutions. Gender, it has to be understood, is about a certain performance of identity, and gendered roles and norms are intrinsically woven into and practiced in our daily lives. Society has fixed standards and rules to validate both masculine and feminine identities. We are expected to perform these individual roles and reproduce the very conditions that perpetuate it. Starting with the clothes we wear, the spaces we occupy, the jobs we do, and the language we speak, everything is gendered. This encoding of our daily life and habits directly impacts our socio-cultural and economic status in society. Gender studies, therefore, is a study of the production, the reproduction, and the resistance to norms that produce inequality between men and women. In today's parlance, gender is a larger category, which subsumes not just men and women, but also those who belong to different queer identities. So gender studies must include an awareness of the rights and prerogatives of all individuals, irrespective of their sexual orientations. Gender equality is therefore at the very heart of human rights and United Nations values. Discrimination based on sex is prohibited under almost every human rights treaty, including the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. I'm indeed glad that I was approached by the principal of Mrinalini Datta Mahavidyapith for academic collaboration with the Center in organizing the add-on course on human rights and gender studies. I recognize this endeavor to be a commendable initiative on the part of the college to offer the students new vistas of knowledge, thoughts, and awareness, buttressed with relevant theories and illustrated through examples from diverse cultural texts at this, or during this stagnating and trying times. We, as part of CSGCM, are indeed happy to offer insights into women's rights, queer rights, and their literary, cultural explorations, an intellectual exercise that CSGCM has been undertaking through its series of lectures. I would take this opportunity to say a few words about the aim, scope, and activities of CSGCM. The genesis of the center has to be traced back to a sense of lack we began to feel with the disciplinary boundary of English studies. We received very strong research proposals on topics of cultural importance, tangentially associated or not linked at all with literature, yet addressing issues of gender, identity, race, caste, nation, and so on. But we were compelled to reject these proposals. This sense of inadequacy concretized into a proposal for a center that could engage with issues and textual media beyond literature. The proposal was submitted to the University Authority in 2017, but it stumbled at unprecedented hurdles and went through a gestation phase of almost 2 years before it was formally approved and launched on 24 December 2019. Unfortunately, after that, the activities of the center had to be continued on the virtual mode because of the pandemic. CSGCM engages with interdisciplinary studies. Its first lecture series, which is titled Perceptions, presented various kinds of cultural perceptions and invited speakers from different disciplines. The second lecture series is now being hosted and focuses on multiple interpretations of the idea of sustainability. The aim of this lecture series is to address issues of conservation, heritage, cultural and economic sustainability. The center is organizing a cluster of talks on 6th June under the second lecture series, and this is entitled Sustaining the Historical Past. The details of the program will be uploaded on the university website. We intend to hold students and scholars seminars and offer courses on viable areas of vocational and entrepreneurial possibilities in the future. I would request other colleges and students to join the Facebook page of the center and enroll for membership, which is free right at this point of time. I would also request the college authorities to hold programs in collaboration with SAGE-GSIM. It is only through collaboration and growing interface with affiliated colleges and with other professional and non-profit organizations that the center intends to carry forth this academic and intellectual works. I'm sincerely thankful to all for this patient hearing.
Thank you so much, Chandravati, for that enlightening speech. Your erudite words, your vast learning, and most importantly, your poise is actually infectious. Would love to learn from you till the last day of life. Thank you so much, Chandravati. Would again ask Mitali to come center stage to introduce to us Professor Ramanuj Ganguly, our keynote speaker. He is Professor, Department of Sociology, West Bengal State University, a renowned academician, and can't help but add a very personal note, a very dear friend. Over to you, Mitali.
Thank you, Upakatha. It gives me immense pleasure, immense happiness, and makes me really feel proud to introduce a very dear friend as the keynote speaker of this evening, Professor Ramanuj Ganguly. In the last around 22 years that I have known him, I have seen him gradually and steadily escalating the ladder of academic and administrative excellence. Professor Ramanuj Ganguly is with the Department of Sociology, West Bengal State University, Barashat, since its inception from 2009. Prior to that, he has worked with HelpAge India between 1995 and 1997 and taught in Maharani Kashishwari College, Kolkata from 1997 to 2009, other than 2 temporary engagements with Burdwan University and Jadavpur University. He has 7 books to his credit and more than 20 published papers, apart from numerous presentations in various seminars and conferences. His areas of interest include concept, theory, and thought in sociology, sociology of religion, Indian social issues and problems. As a popular sociologist, his comments are regularly seen in print and electronic media. He has proved his administrative acumen by being the officiating registrar of his own university for 1.5 years, other than his involvement with internal committees of the university, governing bodies of various undergraduate colleges, and various professional organizations. Presently, he is in the process of completing the ICSSR major project on the Namasudras of West Bengal and Bangladesh. Currently, he is the departmental head of sociology. May I request Professor Ramanuj Ganguly to deliver his keynote address entitled Engagement with Human Rights of Gendered Humans, a critical note. Over to you, Ramanuj.
Respected Vice Chancellor ma'am, respected Principal sir, my dear friends, Chandrava, Mitali, Upakatha, and others, my dear colleagues, I must say that I suppose I will speak less than Mitali. The time she took to introduce me, I really don't know, I deserve it not, but it felt good, you know. People talking long and for a long time about you, only, it makes you feel good. But nevertheless, I think I have been endowed with a responsibility about which I am not very sure. And especially Chandrava and Mitali around, I feel, even Sneha is around, so I feel a little scared if I may use the word, to really venture out. But I can assure them that I'm all for them, despite being a man, so-called. So I will try my best. Now, here I see a very large audience whom I'll not be able to see, and I'm normally very comfortable if I can have my audience in front of me, because I'm so very glazed with my audience that I don't have to think, and the brain goes dead.
Ramanuj is frozen, I believe.
Yeah, I believe there are some technical
I'm back.
issues.
I'm back.
Okay, you're back.
Okay. Thank you.
Please carry on.
Carry on.
Yeah. So I will not waste much time. The internet is telling me that I should straight away start. So I will start with my tentative program as to how do I plan to speak, or what do I want to say. Engagement with human rights of gendered humans, a critical note.
I think he's constantly getting disconnected.
Yeah, because of some internet issues.
Rights, justice, fairness in this whole gendered, differentiated, exploited arena. That is the kind of mental makeup that I'm really moving on from, or I'm trying to speak about. Mitali, would you mute? Yeah. So this is the way I'm planning for my lecture. For the purpose of today's address, we may conceive broad this attempt through this add-on course as a scholarly and human pursuit of understanding the social, political, cultural, and comparative construction of the kind of histories, institutions, discourses that Chandrabha was mentioning, Mitali was mentioning, and the futures, as well as social structures, relations, practices that will most fully support the realization of human rights in this gendered world. We may think that from here we will be encouraged, we will be able to encourage the growth of dialogues regarding fair and just life for every human, their rights as method, as epistemology, as theory, and as praxis in understanding the world in which we live. It is expected that this add-on course may help to facilitate active support of and creation of structures, activities, and practices that that will promote free exchange of ideas, experiences, pedagogical strategies, best practices in research on gender studies, or say human rights linkages, the discussion on human rights in gender perspective. It can also promote collaborative development of resources dedicated in enhancing research teaching on gender rights, and it will also, as an outcome, may lead to co-creation of opportunities for dissemination, distribution, and publication of research in gender studies and human rights throughout the world, or for the society specific to India and West Bengal. Now, I will start with a basic concept, that is, what are rights? Now, rights are those essential conditions of social life without which no person can generally realize their best self. These are actually the essential conditions for health of both the individual and their society. It is only when people get and enjoy their rights, they can develop their personalities and contribute their best possible services to the society. Now, when we talk of rights, we can talk of three kinds of rights that has been framed theoretically. That is natural right that you are born with as a human being, as part of the society. Your moral rights, which is guided by the value system where you are in, and the legal rights, which is mostly related to the civil, political, and economic arena of life. Now, my thought of justice is guided by roles, that is, I'm talking of free, equal, and fair. These are the three cardinal points of the justice that I am talking about. Now, the question from where I will be starting: do women experience a decent distribution of income and wealth similar to the men? Do women have fair opportunities in every aspect, irrespective of their gender, especially in education and training? Do they have the basic health care facilities as available to their benefit? Now, this comparative question is really guiding point to start with, because when I'll be talking, we as a student of sociology consider that human rights not as something immutable rights, not something which cannot change. It does change, but as a highly contested claims that vary across historical time and geographical space. So human rights for us is a contested arena. It is under the economic, political, social, and cultural conditions and context under which human rights norms and laws are devised, interpreted, implemented, enforced. Therefore, human rights can serve either to empower or to constrain you as social actors. It cannot do the both. From larger societies to say smaller communities or say groups, everywhere, human rights emerge from what is of course different from the societal rights. The society that gives you the rights, it is emerging from there, but it is distinguished, and they are to be viewed as the social claim upon the social power arrangements. So it is actually the rights that the society consciously socializes you into, but it is again guided by the social power arrangement where you are born. So the concept of human rights, like all vibrant visions, is not static or property of any group or society. Rather, its meaning expands as people conceive or reconceive of their needs and hopes in relation to it.
Ramanuj, I think you need to unmute yourself.
You have become muted, or has he lost connection again?
Yeah, it seems so, because as we are neighbors, I know here it is raining pretty hard. So I
that
don't know
may be the
whether,
reason, yes.
Yeah, whether he's lost connection.
It seems he has. Has he?
Sorry, I'm back.
Okay, please.
So, gender studies actually redefines human rights abuses to include the degradation and violation of women. The specific experience of women must be added to the tradition. Actually, I'm having a little bit of an issue with my internet. Sorry, I think I'm okay now. I'll do it again. The specific experiences of women must be added to traditional approaches to human rights in order to make women more visible and to transform the concept and practice of human rights in our culture so that it takes better account of women's lives. Women's rights are human rights. This was a kind of a caption in 1993 World Conference of Human Rights in Vienna. The notion may seem self-evident. It is given as the international system for promoting and protection of human rights that was installed under the United Nations, as Honorable Vice Chancellor told us, builds on the idea of equality in dignity and rights of men and women. despite the fact that it was common knowledge that women were regularly subjected to battery and torture, humiliation, sexual harassment and exploitation, forced marriages, pregnancy issues that clearly violated the recognized human rights norms. The notion that men and women should be able to enjoy their human rights or rights in general on an equal basis is part of all the main international human rights instruments. Not only do the documents that compose the so-called Bill of Human Rights and the two covenants, the famous covenants, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and International Covenant on Economic, Social, Cultural Rights, that explicitly talk about non-discrimination and equality. But also the more specialized human rights treaties hold that states, the Rashtra, states shall respect and ensure the rights as laid down therein without distinction of any kind. These documents thus grant human rights to women on an equal basis with their men or men counterpart. Out of this symmetrical approach to equality, I would draw your attention to the underlying fallacy. Now, in the period shortly after, I'm giving you an example, in the period shortly after Second World War, when the United Nations Charter and subsequently the human rights body was adopted, the most important tenet for women's rights proponent was that men and women were same in rational ability and capacity of autonomy and self-determination. At that time, however, only 30 out of the 51 United Nations member states had given women equal voting rights or permitted them to hold public office. So please remember, only 60% of the nations who were voting for women, equality of women in United Nations, only 60% of them had allowed women to vote and hold public office. 40% had not. So this is the kind of situation you must remember that prevails in this world, and the main goal of women's rights proponent was therefore to achieve equal legal status, and hence for women to be accorded the same rights as men. Consequently, their position was focused on the concept of sameness rather than on difference. The basic fallacy lies in the fact that when the moment you put men and women together, you club them together under same homogeneous category, you are actually taking, or rather you are brushing off the unique challenges that women face in the society because the society is gendered. The idea of sameness is reflected in all human rights documents that were drawn up after the inception of human, as they refer to the principle of non-discrimination and equality. These principles, in the formal sense, imply that men and women live similar lives, experience similar abuses and constraints, which is not true. This approach failed to ensure enjoyment of rights for women. For men and women do not live similar lives. From the moment of birth, human beings are differentiated according to sex, being either a boy or a girl. Sex is the first factor that defines a human being in society, and it accordingly places a person in the maze of expectations. What is expected out of it? The customs, practices, constraints that stipulate a child's life in terms of his or her gender. Since the biological and gender-related aspects of men and women differ, so do their lives and their experiences. Consequently, in a system that is based on the concept of sameness that does not exist in practice, rights of men and women are not equally protected. Since the general picture of gender relations throughout the world still portrays an asymmetry of power between men and women, with women generally being subordinate to men, it is men's rights that dictate the international human rights system. Thus, the insertion of the principle of non-discrimination and equality into mainstream international human rights instruments did not necessarily guarantee that the human rights of both men and women were promoted and protected by the system. In reality, human rights were men's rights. The male experiences was accepted as the norm or as human experience. Abuses, exclusions, and constraints that are more typical in the lives of women were neither recognized nor protected by these human rights instruments. One has to remember, though, that United Human Rights System contains an instrument that focuses solely on the enjoyment of human rights by women. The Convention of Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW. CEDAW focuses on the elimination of all forms of discrimination. In its article, it says that discrimination in any distinction, exclusion, or restriction made on the basis of sex that has the effect or purpose of impairing or nullifying the recognition, enjoyment, or exercise by women, irrespective of their marital status, on a basis of equality of men and women, of human rights and fundamental freedoms in the political, economic, social, cultural, civil, or in any other field. In its substantive articles, CEDAW addresses various issues that characteristics of the lives of women and their enjoyment of human rights. The adoption in 1979 was meant to overcome the deficit of the above fallacy that I was talking before. Now, what really happens is, but in practice, CEDAW in practice failed to do so. In fact, establishment of mechanisms dealing exclusively with the enjoyment of human rights of women led to the marginalization of women's rights. It did mean that women's rights were expressly placed in the ambit of international human rights, but mainstream monitoring bodies did not address the blatant violations of women's dignity as gross violations of human rights and left these issues to the specialized CEDAW committee to deal with. The male-dominated forums such as UNCHR and other bodies to claim a general mandate that carried greater prestige and power. The effect of this was that women's interests got marginalized, ghettoized. The creation of women's institutions meant that mainstream human rights bodies and institutions tended to downplay the application of human rights norms to women on the implicit assumption that women's rights were beyond their concern. For example, the maternal mortality is a very high agenda in the human rights committees of the world. And they consider this to be a matter that falls within the ambit of their mandate. However, it is remarkable that they pay so little attention to the availability of maternal health care and the abortion services in the states, for it is lack of maternal health care and unsafe abortions that are the most significant causes of maternal deaths. In the light of this, its reasoning, the maternal mortality affects the right to life, and Human Rights Committee should actually address the lack of available or accessible maternal health care and abortion services. Turning to another area, we may discuss the lack of attention from the human rights committees for the so-called Western beauty practices. This is a term that I'm using that refer to the beauty myths of a slim feminine figure that prompts women to undergo cosmetic surgery and develop eating disorders. The human rights bodies addresses the eating disorders feebly, but has never referred to any practice relating to the Western beauty myths. Yet it is argued by many that the practice do fall within the ambit of international human rights law and deserves attention. Most obligation on, say, physical violence against women, as formulated by the various human rights bodies, however, focus on the criminalization of the event, prosecution and punishment of such events. These obligations are therefore obligations to protect. The same cannot be said for the obligations of the states on pregnancy-related matters, which primarily reflects obligations to fulfill. Those states are requested to provide for various reproductive healthcare services, like, say, maternal health-related services and programs. The availability of these services is a prerequisite for successfully addressing maternal mortality. Therefore, it would make sense if this human rights body addresses these issues. They scarcely formulate any recommendations on the pregnancy-related matters that reflect obligation to protect. We may also argue that as far as women's physical integrity is concerned, the obligation of the state in regards to various human rights issues lack reference to certain gender-specific constraints that prevent women from exercising their rights. Say, for example, they do not address the issue of lack of availability, lack of available and accessible abortion and post-abortion services. Generally, there is a taboo on this area. There is no monitoring or scrutiny that question whether these services are actually available, are accessible, and are of good quality. Now, physical violence against women mostly reflects the obligation to protect human rights. Although the various committees world over pay attention to the needs of the victims of several types of violence, but they do not always take into account the full scope of gender-specific violences that are committed upon them, that women experience in regard to their abuses. This can be illustrated from the approach of the human rights bodies in addressing the issue of external female genitalia mutilation. The main obligation lies with the state that tries to fulfill with regard to this practice of genitalia mutilation is to prohibit it in their criminal legislation. Yet, what the committees and the bodies of human rights apparently fail to take into account is that such practices are usually performed or comes from the socio-cultural reasoning and the milieu by predominantly female private actors with the apparent concept of one to be circumcised or her proxy. The notion raises question with regard to the criminal prosecution of these acts and their effectiveness in actual elimination of the custom. The general approach of human rights bodies in dealing with various forms of physical violence against women is not to address its root cause, which is often the unequal status of women in society, but rather to call on states to tackle such violence against women through criminalization and prosecution. Since the social construction of man and women and of masculinity and femininity vary not only according to location and culture, but also over time, new situations may emerge that affect the enjoyment of human rights. This means that human rights necessarily have to be interpreted in a dynamic context, and that addressing these specific experiences of women is an ongoing assignment that requires the human rights bodies as well as such add-on courses to stay alert in situations that may affect women's rights. Only when gender-specific context of rights, abuses, and constraints experienced by women is reflected in the obligations for the state and their rules and regulation book, can we say that fair rights are being offered to the citizens. Otherwise, we cannot say, irrespective of their gender differences. For this, instead of effort should move beyond fighting the symptoms and focus on the actual disease. We need to pay attention to the relationship between various gendered issues that affect women's enjoyment of human rights and discrimination against women as their possible cause. The question that I would like to put before I end is, can we modify the social and cultural pattern of behavior of men and women with a view of achieving and the elimination of prejudices? with an attempt to change the customs and all the practices that are based on the idea of the inferiority or the superiority of either of the sexes, or on stereotyped roles of men and women. Can we really foreground the experience and knowledge of how to address gendered human rights abuses as manifestations of deeply rooted discrimination against women? I hope this add-on course would empower some of us to attempt to answer these questions in future. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ramanuj. I am actually at a dearth of adjectives, at a dearth of words as to what needs to be said after this. I don't think there could have been a better befitting keynote address to the topic than this. I'm actually thronged by two emotions, reiterating what Mitali said before. I feel proud, and at the same time, I feel at a loss that I was never your student. Anyhow, thank you so much. The best part of whatever you said is providing us with some food for thought. That is very, very important. We would think after this. Thank you, Ramanuj.
Thank you so much.
Now I would call upon stage, this virtual stage, Srimati Nandini Chakraborty. Nandini, our very own Nandini, the convener of add-on value-added course committee. She is the internal governing body member of Mrinalini Datta Mahavidyapeeth, our esteemed IQSC member, and also head of the department, journalism and mass communication. Nandini has been a great support to all of us who have embarked on this add-on course, and we look forward to your cooperation even in future. Over to you, Nandini.
Thank you, Upakatha Di. I am sharing my message in Bengali. উপস্থিত সকল বরেণ্যজন, বন্ধুজন ও স্নেহের জনকে অ্যাড-অন কোর্স কমিটির পক্ষ থেকে জানাই শুভ সন্ধ্যা, বা বলা ভালো বর্ষণ মুখর সন্ধ্যা। আমাদের সকলের প্রিয় দিদি ও রাজ্যের মাননীয় মন্ত্রী শ্রীমতী চন্দ্রিমা ভট্টাচার্য মহাশয়ের অনুপ্রেরণায় পশ্চিমবঙ্গ রাষ্ট্রীয় বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের মাননীয় উপাচার্য প্রফেসর ডক্টর মহুয়া দাস মহাশয়ের উৎসাহে এবং কলেজের অধ্যক্ষ ডক্টর অপূর্ব কুমার বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায়ের ঐকান্তিক সহযোগিতায় আজ এই শুভক্ষণের সূচনা হলো। স্বাগত জানাই পশ্চিমবঙ্গ রাষ্ট্রীয় বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের সোশিওলজি বিভাগীয় প্রধান প্রফেসর ডক্টর রামানুজ গাঙ্গুলি মহাশয়কে, এবং একই সাথে স্বাগত জানাই সেন্টার ফর স্টাডিজ ইন জেন্ডার, কালচার অ্যান্ড মিডিয়া ডিরেক্টর ও ইংরেজি বিভাগের বিভাগীয় প্রধান প্রফেসর চন্দ্রভা চক্রবর্তী মহাশয়কে। অন্যান্য কলেজ ও ইউনিভার্সিটি থেকে আগত সকল অধ্যাপক, অধ্যাপিকা এবং ছাত্রছাত্রীদের আমরা সানন্দে স্বাগত জানাই। অ্যাড-অন কোর্সের ধারণা যদিও নতুন নয়, তবে একে সময়োপযোগী করে তোলা ও কোর্স স্ট্রাকচারকে প্র্যাকটিক্যাল ফিল্ডের ক্ষেত্রে যথোপযুক্ত করে তোলা, ছাত্রছাত্রীদের কাছে এই কোর্সের যৌক্তিকতা তুলে ধরার জন্য এগিয়ে আসছেন কলেজের আইকিউএসসি এবং সমগ্র মৃণালিনী দত্ত মহাবিদ্যাপীঠ পরিবারের সদস্যরা, অর্থাৎ আমাদের শিক্ষক ও শিক্ষাকর্মী বন্ধু সদস্যরা, ছাত্র সংসদ ও প্রাক্তনীরা সোশ্যাল মিডিয়াতেও ছড়িয়ে দেয় অ্যাড-অন কোর্সের বার্তা। শুধু নিজের কলেজ নয়, তাই আশেপাশের অন্যান্য কলেজের গণ্ডি ছাড়িয়ে অন্য রাজ্যের ছাত্ররাও সাড়া দেয় এই আহ্বানে। এই অ্যাড-অন কোর্সগুলি তাদের মডিউল ও কন্টেন্টের গুরুত্ব অনুযায়ী ইভেন এবং অড সেমিস্টারের ছাত্রছাত্রীদের জন্য তৈরি করা হয়েছে। প্রতিটি কোর্সের ক্ষেত্রেই মহামারী পরিস্থিতিকে মাথায় রেখে অনলাইন মোডের উপর গুরুত্ব দেওয়া হয়েছে। 30 থেকে 40 ঘন্টার এই অনলাইন অ্যাড-অন কোর্স সাফল্যের সাথে শেষ করার পরে ছাত্রছাত্রীদের হাতে সার্টিফিকেট তুলে দেওয়া হবে। 2021 সালে জুন মাস থেকে, অর্থাৎ এই মাসে প্রথম যে 3টি কোর্স নিয়ে পথ চলা শুরু হলো তা নিয়ে আমরা আলোচনা আগেই করলাম, তবু আরেকবার বলি। হিউম্যান রাইটস অ্যান্ড জেন্ডার স্টাডিজ offered by Department of English, Political Science and Sociology in collaboration with Center for Studies in Gender, Culture and Media. Second one, mushroom cultivation and its scope, offered by Botany Department. And third one, Advanced Techniques in Biology offered by Department of Microbiology. তবে এই মাসের মাঝামাঝি একই সাথে শুরু হতে চলেছে আরো দুটি উল্লেখযোগ্য অ্যাড-অন কোর্স। তার একটি হলো রুরাল ডেভেলপমেন্ট ইন ইন্ডিয়া অফার্ড বাই জিওগ্রাফি ডিপার্টমেন্ট, আর সেকেন্ড ওয়ান থিওরি অ্যান্ড অ্যাপ্লিকেশন অফ বেসিক অ্যান্ড অ্যাডভান্স স্ট্যাটিস্টিক্স অফার্ড বাই ডিপার্টমেন্ট অফ ম্যাথমেটিক্স। বরণীয় সু ও বন্ধুরা, এখানেই শেষ নয়, এখান থেকে এগিয়ে চলার যাত্রা শুরু। আগামী দিনে আসতে চলেছে আরো কিছু নতুন কোর্স, সেগুলি হলো collection, processing and documentation of plant specimen by Botany Department. Second one, applied plant pathology by microbiology. Wildlife photography by zoology and journalism department. Entrepreneurship by anthropology and economics department. And last one, popular culture and mass media by Department of History and Journalism. ইভেন ও অড সেমিস্টার মিলিয়ে প্রায় 10টি অ্যাড-অন কোর্স শুরু করতে চলেছি আমরা। আপনাদের সকলের শুভেচ্ছা আমাদের কর্মপ্রচেষ্টাকে উৎসাহিত করবে। সকলের অকুণ্ঠ সহযোগিতায় আমাদের এই উদ্যম সাফল্য লাভ করুক, এই আশা রাখি। ধন্যবাদ। ধন্যবাদ সকলকে।
নন্দিনীকে অনেক ধন্যবাদ। নন্দিনী আমার অনুজ, তাই বলছি তোর হাত ধরেই এগিয়ে যাওয়ার প্রতিশ্রুতি আমাদের সবার। অনেক ধন্যবাদ নন্দিনী। I would be okay. I would be doing wrong if I didn't add a very small note that about the overwhelming response we have received from participants from various institutions all over the country. That has indeed been a source of inspiration. Now would like to ask Dr. Arindam Mukherjee, convener add-on course. Arindamda is actually spearheading two add-on courses, one offered by the Department of Botany titled Mushroom Cultivation and its Scope, and the other offered by the Department of Microbiology, Advanced Techniques in Biology. Arindamda also happens to be the convener of the Science Forum and head of the Departments of Botany and Microbiology. Over to you, Arindamda.
Thank you, Upakatha Madam. Very good evening, but in a very bad weather. I am starting with my PowerPoint presentation. Today, we are in the inaugural session. It is almost at the end of this session. This is the 1st June 2021. We are starting with 3 add-on courses in online mode. Respected Madam Chandrima Bhattacharya, who is the Honorable Vice President of our governing body. Next, respected Professor Mughma Das, who is Honorable Vice Chancellor, West Bengal State University, Barasat. And respected Dr. Apurva Bandyopadhyay, the Principal, Nirayani Datta Mahavidyapith, and other dignitaries present today, and obviously the students. We are introducing 2 online add-on certificate courses from this current even semester 2021. First course is Mushroom Cultivation and its Scope. This course is offered by Department of Botany. And the second add-on course is Advanced Techniques in Biology. This course is offered by Department of Microbiology. And from our organizational point of view or management point of view, I am the coordinator of both the courses. Dr. Anindita Nan and Paramita Sengupta, they will act as associate coordinators of mushroom cultivation and its scope. Dr. Anirban Mundul and Dr. Urpita Bala, they will act as associate coordinator of advanced techniques in biology. In this year, starting year, altogether 128 students, they registered themselves. Among these, 31 students is coming from our own department and other departments of MDN, Nirayani Datta Mahavidyapith, and 97 students, they are coming from different colleges and institutions all over West Bengal and other states. Actually, these students, they have come from total 35 colleges. From West Bengal, there are 33 colleges, and other than West Bengal, one college from Delhi, Gaidi College, and another college from Chennai, that is Guru Nanak College. And in our state, West Bengal, other than Mrinalini Datta Mahavidyapith, there are 32 several colleges, different colleges. The students have come from, like AC College, Jalpaiguri, Bankura Sammilani College, Prasad Government College, Barakpur Rashtrapati Surendranath College, Bosirat College, Vijayanaran Mahavidyalaya, Bethune College, City College, Virojio Memorial College, Damdam Motiji College, Hubli Mohsin College, Kalna College, Katwa College, MUC Women's College, Mahadevananda Mahavidyalaya, Netaji Mahavidyalaya, Purimal Mitra City Mahavidyalaya, Malbazar, Raghunathpur College, Ramkrishna Mission Vivekananda Centenary College, Ranaghat College, Sarojini Naidu College for Women, Sarsuna College, Scottish Church College, Srirampur College, Shantipur College, Srirampur Girls College, Sri Gopal Banerjee College, St. Joseph College, Darjeeling, Sri Chaitanya College, Tufanganj Mahavidyalaya, Victoria Institution, and Vidyasagar College. Besides our departmental or institutional resource person, very eminent academician, they extend their cooperative hands and they will act as external resource person. Some of them come from abroad, like Dr. Krishna Kumar Ghanta. He is a postdoctoral associate, Department of Molecular Medicine, Medical School, University of Massachusetts, USA. Dr. Debashish Kumar Ghosh is a postdoctoral fellow, Department of Biotechnology and Biomedicine, Technical University of Denmark. Dr. Samantha C. Karunaratna, he is a renowned mycologist. He belongs to CASP Laboratory, Combining Institute of Botany, China. And Dr. Ajit Kumar Jha is a scientist, Nepal Agriculture Research Council, Nepal. And from India, other than West Bengal, we also get different external resource persons like Dr. Kuldeep Jaiswal, scientist, Agriculture Biotechnology Department, ICR Institute of Seed Sciences, Mau, UP. Dr. Anjali Patil, she is Associate Professor and Head Department of Botany, Rajaram College, Kolhapur, Maharashtra. Dr. Mahesh Borade, he is Associate Professor, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, Savitribai Phule University, Maharashtra. Dipyanshu Jaiswal, Scientist, Agriculture Biotechnology, ICR Institute of Seed Science, Mau, Uttar Pradesh. And lastly, from our West Bengal, other than our college, separate response coming from different resource persons for extending their helping hand as resource persons, like Dr. Bonusri Hajra, she is research scientist, UGC, Professor Later, Department of Pharmaceutical Technology, Jadavpur University. Dr. Narayan Chandra Mondal, Professor, Department of Botany, Vishwabharati. Dr. Anmol Banerjee, Assistant Professor, Department of Biochemistry, Techno India University, Kolkata. Dr. Arunima Sengupta, she is Assistant Professor, Department of Life Science and Biotechnology, Jadavpur University. Dr. Moitri Mondal, Assistant Professor, Department of Microbiology, Dinobandhu Andrews College. Dr. Anirban Bhaur, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, Ramkrishna Mission Vivekananda Institute, Dr. Prashant Saha, Dr. D.S. Kothari, Postdoctoral Fellow from Department of Life Science and Biotechnology, Jadavpur University, Kolkata. And Arun Kumar Datta, PhD, Inspired Faculty, Department of Botany, West Bengal State University. Besides these two courses, for the next odd semester, we also like to give
I think Arindam is facing some technical glitches.
He's frozen for the timing, yes.
Yeah. As it is raining pretty hard out here.
Let us wait for a few seconds. I'm sure he'll be back.
Can you just give him a call, Mitali?
Yes, I will do that.
Okay. Just asking all of you to bear with us. Some technical issues because of this inclement weather. We'll just take a few minutes from you.
না এমনিতে আন্টি খুব একটা রাজি না কিন্তু
Our inbox has been pouring with very wonderful, inspiring, encouraging messages from participants all over. We have also, we can also read out now. Yes, I'm presently reading out as I'm talking to you messages from some resource persons also. This is very enlightening, very enriching, and definitely an inspiration to all of us. Thank you all so much for taking part, for enrolling yourself. Our heart goes out to all of you for being a part of this endeavor. Thank you so much.
এক্সকিউজ মি উপকথা দি
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ পারমিতা বল।
হ্যাঁ অরিন্দম দার নেটের প্রবলেম হচ্ছে, তো 5 মিনিট যদি একটু পসিবল হয় ওয়েট করা, উনি ট্রাই করছেন আবার কানেক্ট করানোর জন্য।
ওকে 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 পারমিতা, ওকে থ্যাংক ইউ।
Yes, I happened to call up Arindamda. He's facing serious technical problems because of this bad weather. So I think we should move on further.
Yes. Okay. Then Mitali, I think it is your time to come center stage once again. Dr. Mitali Gangobadhyay, the convener of the add-on courses offered by the departments of English, Political Science and Sociology, the course entitled Human Rights and Gender Studies. Mitali is also incidentally the coordinator of the Internal Quality Assurance Cell, Mrinalini Datta Mahavidyapith, and departmental head, Department of English. Over to you, Mitali.
Thank you so much, Upo. Good evening to all of you once again. Let me begin with a confession, a very true confession. To be the course coordinator of a team of extremely dedicated colleagues, supervised and guided continuously at each and every step by our principal, Sir Dr. Apurva Bandyopadhyay, stupendously supported by the director of Center of Studies for Gender, Culture and Media, Professor Chandrabha Chakraborty, and moreover, with a batch of enthusiastic registered participants, the task of being the course coordinator, believe me, has become effortless and truly simple. Initially, when the 3 departments of English, Sociology and Political Science came together to execute the modalities which were framed by the add-on course committee, we were slightly apprehensive about the responses that we might get from the students. However, once the registration form was uploaded on the website and it was circulated over social media, responses poured in numbers, and that boosted our confidence. We have received as many as 198 responses from universities and colleges across the state. Hence, we had to increase the number of seats from 70 to 90 to accommodate at least a sizable percentage of students. In fact, I have received phone calls even this morning, Chandrabadi was talking about it, pleading us to give them a chance to participate. Not so this time, but we have assured them to wait for the next turn. We have designed, as you all know, a 40-hour course spreading over a span of 3 months. The course is designed to offer a broad spectrum, a wide exposure, covering various areas of concept, awareness and protection of human rights, gender and women rights, feminism and culture studies, to name just a few. There will not only be theoretical concepts, I think this is most redeeming for the students, but online practical exercises as well. And this is reflected in our selection of resource persons for the course. We have academicians, we have creative artists, we have performers, lawyers, corporates as our external experts. I must thank them sincerely, each and every one of them, for readily agreeing to act as our invited speakers. The class for Human Rights and Gender Studies course will officially begin from tomorrow. Our students already know about it. We have informed them over WhatsApp group. And dear students, let me take this opportunity to remind you all that attendance for the course is mandatory. There will be constant evaluation and certificates will be awarded to candidates who have been regular in the class and have successfully completed the evaluation process. Please don't think I'm trying to scare you on the inaugural day. No, I'm not doing that. I'm rather trying to inspire you all to put in all your efforts, to try your very best. And more importantly, enjoy your classes. That is exactly what we want you to do. Enjoy the classes. So we hope to have a wonderful and exciting, very, very exciting 40-hour journey with you from tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mitali. We are more or less at the fag end of the program. শেষের আগে দুটো কথা বলতে চাই। সময়কে উপেক্ষা করার ক্ষমতা আমাদের কারোর নেই। বর্তমানে সবচেয়ে বড় সত্যি বোধহয় এটাই, কবির ভাষায় বলতে গেলে, একটি মৃত্যুর শেষে মুখ দেখি আর এক মৃত্যুর, আমরা জানি না কেউ কার বাঁচা আর কত দূর। তবুও এমতো অবস্থায় যদি দুটি প্রাণেও আমরা আলো সঞ্চার করতে পারি, সেটাই হবে এই অ্যাড অন কোর্সে আমাদের প্রাপ্তি। সবাই ভালো থাকবেন। নাও for the final note, I call upon center stage Anuja Gupta, Departmental Head, Department of Sociology, to deliver her vote of thanks. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Upakathadi. And am I audible? And
Yes,
after
yes.
a wonderful anchoring, I'm really bereft of words to give a better, wonderful. No one can substitute Upakathadi in that area.
Absolutely
And I would just, but it's customary. And but I would really wholeheartedly thank every member who were present today. First of all, a very dear governing body president, ma'am, Mrs. Chandrima madam, for being present with us and giving us encouraging words, giving us further impetus to work more and better for the betterment of our college, and then more importantly, to work in unity. I would also like this opportunity to thank our Vice Chancellor, ma'am, Professor Mohua Dash, West Bengal State University, for showering her blessings, and I'm sure we're going to look forward to her guidance in future for all our academic endeavor. Our very dear principal, sir, Professor Apurva Bandhopadhyay, sir, he was just a call away and he's always accessible. He's ready to solve all our problems by giving us advice and even with whatever help that he can provide. He's a wonderful person and we are indeed lucky to have him as a principal, sir. Without ignoring others, I would really like to thank our coordinator, Chandrima ma'am, for supporting us wholeheartedly in this endeavor. In fact, your speech did speak about the multiple aspect of gender, along with the United Nations Rights Commission, which is going to be incorporated in the course that has been designed by you along with the Department of English, Mirani Datta Mahavidyapith College. And it will be indeed a pleasure for the students to attend the course and to have a greater insight into the multiple aspects of gender, not only confining it to the women's right, but keeping both the gender, the male and the female, on equal terms. And that is what gender rights is all about. It's not about highlighting the women's right, but also bringing to the fore the sufferings of the men as well. So in the pandemic, we do come across many cases of men being abused and family tortures inflicted on the male. So we will try to bring that to you as well, bring that aspect which is really ignored in the textbooks. So we would like to bring both these aspects before you, dear students. We would like to thank our IQSC coordinator, our two course coordinators, Dr. Arindam Mukherjee and Dr. Mitali Gangopadhyay, for beautifully designing the course and being the conveners of our team, and I'm sure the students will be largely benefited in this career-oriented course, especially as they are new in our college and even in the 24th North Parganas district. I think we'll be spearheading in that area. I would like to thank all our teachers of Maniratna Mahavidyapeeth who have been participative and who have encouraged us to take on this path. I would also like to thank our technical support, Dr. Shuman Chakraborty, for patiently holding on Arena and helping us in continuing this session and for solving our problems whenever. He's also a very approachable person, a very helpful person. And Shumit Bakshi, Faculty of Computer Science, who has also helped us in this regard to the technical aspect. I would not like to miss this opportunity to thank the inaugural performers whose songs and whose lyrics they have really touched. I'm sure they have touched the heart and soul of every person who had been present here and who have been listening to their wonderful words, and the feelings, which is more important, is the feeling which they try to communicate. Upakathadi, Shohini, and Agumuni, it was a pleasure hearing you, and I'm sure every one of us were motivated by your kind words. Not to wonder, Kavi Guru Rabindranath Tagore, nobody could ever, reach his level, but we can only aspire to get a few of his words in form of his blessings and inspire ourselves. I would also like to thank our external resource person, so who have been readily available, and they have agreed willingly to be part of this program. Our very dear Professor Ramanuj Ganguly sir, who had delivered his keynote address, and being a student and a person engaged in sociology, the feeling with which we tend to go beyond practice, and we do combine both theory and practice in our way of thinking. So his understanding of Rawls' theory of justice, how justice and equality should be embedded within the social structure, and his looking upon the aspect of abortion as a right, which may be a hush-hush issue in many families, but how do we look upon abortion as a women's right, as a human right? Because even the men are affected if there is a decision to abort a fetus. And how do you understand female abortion? So he has beautifully webbed the theories of Rawls, which is the basics of the theory of justice, into practical effect, bringing the UN notion, the UN concept of law and equality, which is the real essence of sociology. We bridge theory and practice in our understanding of ourselves and the society around us. And we are indeed very grateful to all the students who have enrolled themselves for our courses, and I'm sure that you will have a wonderful time. As the conveners have already informed you, they have shown the PPTs, and you will be having a host of wonderful resource persons, and we are grateful to everyone who were present here, who have stayed here for so long and have encouraged us in all our interviews. Last but not the least, we would like to thank Rituja Dev for the wonderful brochure that she had made for us, and colorfully, our colorful brochure is always a thing to look upon. It gives an automatic smile on your face, and the wonderful anchoring of dear Upakathadi for conducting and holding on the program. Anchoring means somebody who holds the program from the beginning to the end, and she has done a wonderfully, not to say I'm too young to praise, but she's done a wonderfully well job. And thank you. I'm really sorry if I've missed out any name, but thank you everyone. Thank you Nandini Di for being the course convener, and she's managing 10 courses under her guidance, which is a real difficult task, managing everything on her own. So thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Anuja, you have only missed out one particular name, which I think I should be saying, which is Anuja Gupta herself. So thank you for being the associate coordinator, along with Dr. Reena Bose-Mitro and Shohini Ghosh, who are the associate coordinators of Human Rights and Gender Studies, and to mention each and every member of the three departments, all the faculties of the three departments, the way they are constantly encouraging each other, the way they are constantly, trying to bring in the best into the course is really commendable. So that's all for today. Dear registered participants, enrolled students, I should call them now, and also, the faculties and the external experts who are here. So thank you, everybody. Thank you to our principal, sir, once again. So this is where we come to the end of the program. We can leave the platform now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mitali. Is it possible to show the faculty list of the Human Rights and Gender Studies, so that some of the participants, they can see the...
Yes, if you want Shumon, that would be wonderful. And in fact, we missed out Shumon. He is also a wonderful speaker. So I really wish Shumon could have snatched the opportunity to say something.
Yes, for the next time.
Anyway, but yes, next time maybe we can do it. So
yeah.
These are the
you can.
Yeah, I missed out the three departments. I think they are so close to our hearts.
Yeah. And I am very happy to see Dr. Ritu Mathur Mitro, our Ritu Di is there.
Yes.
And
yes, that is indeed an added source of happiness.
Yes.
Ritu Di keeps making us happy.
And Ritu Di has been present.
They are the very great speakers, and hopefully Human Rights and Gender Studies. I wish all the very best for all the three add-on courses and coming courses. Thank you. I would like to now stop the recording and...
Yes, just before 1 second, Shumon, I would really have missed out taking the name of Reena Di, the head of the Political Science Department, and all the members of the Political Science, the English Department. They are really an integral part of the family. We don't consider them to be outsiders. They are us. We are them. So we bond together, we work together, and that's how we strive to fulfill the dreams of our college and all the members of the MDM family. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We know, Ritu, you're always there.
Thank you. I just stop the recording and leave the platform.
So many students are still here. I mean,
yes.
The program is continuing